Hello everybody. In this screencast we're going to look at Unwind segues, which is the ability to go back and send data, from another view controller. So I created this view controller, created some layouts. So if we run it, see here, it shows up the first one. I want when I click on this button to go to the next screen. So I can do that by just wiring up this button from here to here. And I click on show. And now when I run the app, I have created the segue tied up to the button and it will go to the next screen. So here it is, it shows up the next screen. Okay, good. So now when I click on cancel, I want to dismiss this screen. I can do that. So basically easy. So I go to the second view controller or here. This is already the second view controller. You see here, I already tied up the class to it. All right. So here we are. Click on assistant. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dismiss. So I'm going to the cancel button. Here it is. Control. I'm pressing the control, drag, and action. Cancel clicked. All right, here we are. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dismiss. Dismiss. This it's called dismiss. Dismiss. True. All right, here it is. So basically we run this again. And what I'm doing is that you click, here it is, we are here, cancel, dismisses it. Click, cancel, dismiss. Okay, click, cancel, dismiss. Now, what I would like to do is that when I click the submit button, I want to go back. I want this to dismiss, and I want to send the data back to this screen. The concept we are going to look at is called the Unwind segue, all right? So I would like to, in order to do the Unwind segue, if you look at the documentation, here it is, I'll share the link in the YouTube, creating an Unwind segue. It lets you dismiss a view controller that have been presented. You create Unwind segues in the interface builder, blah, blah, blah. And basically it also allows you to, so basically in the view controller that you want to go back to, you have to create this method. So I copy this. I want to go back to the view controller, the red one, right? Here it is. And here it is. This is what I want to go back. So when I click on submit, I want to go back here, right? So unwind actions, I'll call it, for example, first view controller unwind action. All right, here it is. And basically that's the one I'm going to unwind to, right? Okay, so now let's test out things. So now in the main view controller, what I would like to do is that when I click submit, I want to go back. Just let's worry about it for the time being. Just want to go back. Okay, so in order to do that, I would like to connect this. You can't just drag and drop here, no. But if you click on this view controller, you see there is an exit. You see this exit. Now, if we make it a little bit closer, you see this exit, right? So what we could do is we can drag the button and drag it and drop it into exit, and you see it displays to you the function that you created in the previous view controller. It's first view controller action. So basically, let me do this again. This is okay. I go to the button, drag, click on exit, and here we go. So now we run this again. You'll see what happens. Let me put a print statement just to show you that we are here. Print. Let's print so that we show you that when we click the button, we will go back here. Okay, and here we are. We run this again. Open up this a little bit. All right, we click here, we are here. Click cancel, and we go back. Click here, click submit, and see here it says first unwind action. Perfect. So it is triggering something back. Okay. So, but what I want to do is basically for the user to enter the name and email, and when I click submit, I would like to grab the name, email, package it in a user object. I didn't create the user object, but anyway, then create a user, create a new file, and Swift, I'm going to create a user class called user, all right, and here is my user class user, and it's going to have var name as a string and var email as a string, and I can have an init function name, and here it is. Okay, and all right, so here we are. I can do something like this. This is the user class. Now what I want to do is I want to change things a little bit. So instead of having this segue that we created, so if you click on the button, this is the segue we created. I'm going to delete that segue. So now when you click on the button, nothing happens. Okay, all right, here we are. and you click here, you see nothing happens when you click on the button. And I want to do stuff. One, I would like to, let's go here and set up the IB action for that button. Here is the button, drag and drop, and I call it submit clicked. Right. So now what I would like to do is to get the name and email, right? Get name and email. Okay, create user class, right? Or a user object, right? User object. And then after that, send back to the view activity, view controller. Okay, all right. Okay, so now in order to do all of that, you need to get the name and email when you click submit. That's very easy. Var name equals, and you can do string equals, I need to get these text views. Here's the name text field. All right, and then this is the email text field. This is the email text field. All right, here we are. And the name is name text field dot text. All right, var email string email text field dot text, and here we are. So we have the name and we have the email, right? And now I can create the user class. We can do we're not going to change them. Okay, we can do some checks and so on, but let's get the user. Let user equal user, right? And name and email. So basically name, email. All right, so I have them. I have the name and emails, right? So I have that. Now, how do I send it back? Now, let's ignore sending it back. I want to do an unwind segue when you click the button. We did it by wiring up the button to the unwind segue. Or what I could do is do it programmatically. In order to do that, instead of the button being wired to the unwind segue, I will wire the view controller to the unwind segue. So I'll do control, click, and we go here. Shows me the function. Here it is. And it creates a segue. I'll give it an ID. All right, let's go here. Give the segue ID. I'll say go back to view controller. Right, here it is. I just give it a name. Okay, let me just make sure the name is correct. Copy the name of the segue, the identifier, and then in the second view controller, if you want to segue back, all what I have to do is I'll do perform segue with identifier. Here's the identifier. The sender is self, which is this view controller. So now what's going to happen is it's going to go back, right? So now if we run this again, let's see. Here it is. We run it again. Now I click on get user and I click on submit. You see it's going back and it's calling this function. Perfect. So now what if I want to send, so I know how to do this now. So I can, if I want to send data back, I am performing a segue to go back. This means that I could use prepare for segue, right? So I can go here inside the view controller, do prepare for segue. Here it is. And I could check to see if segue identifier is equal to this go back, right? Then the view controller, I'm going to let view controller equal, this is the segue dot destination. I'm going back, right? As view controller, which is the name of the other class, right? Now I have that. Now if I want to send it back a user, I can easily do that. So basically the user, instead of doing it this way, I need to store the user, because I store the user when the user clicks. When the user clicks on the button, I'm storing the user. So basically, let's have a var here. Var user and user question mark, right? And then basically here we could just say this is the user, self.user equals the new user that we created. And basically here, when we are here, we want to send the view controller the user. Perfect. So what we could do is inside the view controller, inside here, we could go ahead and say or have a var user also and send it that user. All right, here we are. Control C, Control V. We have the user here. Now you see here in the prepare for segue, we got the view controller. So basically we could say vc.user, right? This is the user equals self.user. So we are sending it the user that we created and we're good to go. Now what I want to do is that in here, I'm going to put a breakpoint. Okay. and I will run this code. And what this code does is that when you click submit, it gets the user, grabs it, and sets it to the user inside the second view controller, and it performs the segue to go back. And then what happens is that before going back, we're going to prepare for segue. So prepare for segue, and we check to see, and then we get the destination, which is the view controller that's in the back, and sends it to the user. So basically, what I would like to see is that when the print statement, before it prints, do I get to see the user or no? Let's have a look at the user value or no. So let's see, get user. I'll type in a name, some kind of name, and then maybe the email, let's say a@a.com. All right, and I click on submit. Now, when I click on submit, the breakpoint is here, self, user, and you can see here the user is correct. This is the user inside the user view control. So now here, when we are here, what we could do is we can set up the screen to show the user. So basically I can show the user information here. So in order to do that, let me go in and show up the assistant and just wire up these outlets to these labels. Here's the first label. This is the name label, and this one is the email label. Here's the email label. All right, perfect. So I have both of them. Okay, so basically if I'm here, I could just go ahead and set up the name and email. So basically I could go here and say self.email.text equals user.email, right? And similarly, I can do the same thing, with the name label, user name. All right, so we run this again. Okay, I will click on get user, type in a name, let's say Bob Smith, and here is b@b.com. Click on submit, and here is the breakpoint. We move ahead. All right, and you can see here I'm displaying the name. Let me remove the breakpoint so that this flows a little bit smoother. Get user, let's say Tom Smith. Here is t@t.com. Okay, t.com, and we click on submit, and here we go. We see that we are getting the data back. It's very straightforward. We are sending back through the Unwind Segue, and notice that we in the first view controller we create this function, right, which has this specific pattern, and here we are programmatically firing up the segue. In order to fire it up programmatically, we don't wire it up to the button, we wire it up to the view controller. Okay, all right. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.